So here is a Johnny story from an audio cassette he sent us while we were in Australia around about 1989, I think. He and Georgie had decided to do the massive trip to Australia to see us, and he needed to get a photograph for his visa, and so had to go to one of those passport photo booths. Whenever I think of this trip, I'm always impressed with Georgie's bravery in doing it at all, because she was scared stiff of flying. So imagine the prospect of 24 hours on a plane from Melbourne to UK. Johnny told me that she never actually left her seat for the whole of the trip, except to get off the plane. Here you go.
Failed and had to get another one, and had caused me much merriment because she told me she couldn't operate the machine properly. Ha, said I, no problems, no problems. It's very straightforward, I'm quite sure, never having done it. And so the occasion arose when I was on my own and Marjorie was down in Bideford, and on this said Sunday morning I soldiered off up to the arcade in Christchurch, where they've ripped out a telephone booth and put in a passport photograph taker. Anyway, I looked at this little booth on the outside and I thought, well, it doesn't seem to be too difficult. There were no real instructions on the outside, and so I entered and sat down. At this juncture I realised I'd made a mistake. I left my damn glasses behind and I couldn't really see what was in front of me, so I thought, well, I'll put some money in, and it said £1.20 and there was a slot, so in went £1.20. And I sat there and I waited for a few minutes, and then on came a little red light, and I sat there, nothing happened. So I thought, well, I suppose I've got to do something else. And I bent forward to see what the words were engraved on the piece of metal in front of me. And I bent forward, and as my eyes read, just flash, big flash, blinding bloody light, and I realised I'd cocked it up. But I had, however, read the instructions. And as you know, instructions in my book are the things you read to find out how you went wrong. This was exactly what I was doing yet again. Well, the first instruction says something about a curtain. Adjust the curtain behind you to get the right background. So I turned round, and there was this curtain, and there was suddenly another blinding bloody great flash, and I realised I'd ballsed that one up. So I thought, well, I'll adjust the curtain behind now anyway. So I set it to a white background, and then I bent forward to see, very quickly this time, to see what the next thing was, and it said adjust the seat height. Well, before I could adjust the seat height, there was another blinding bloody flash, and that was the third one down the Swanee. Now I got all the instructions, so I sat there with the seat adjusted roughly right, looking, as I thought, quite amiable and reasonable, and there was this other blinding flash, and I thought, marvellous, I've done it at last. Anyway, I sat there and waited, and I looked around this little booth, and there was this half-length curtain over the door, and I mused on this and thought, I wonder why they made it half-length. Thought I suppose it's to stop people doing what they used to do when this was a telephone booth. I might be right at that, actually, because I can't see any other reason for making it a half-length curtain, except possibly that somebody outside could see that there was somebody inside there, which, as it turned out, proved to be very useful. I sat there a bit longer, and I thought, well, I'm buggered. This is not my idea of spending Sunday afternoon sitting in this little box waiting for photographs to come out. And I sat there, and I sat there, and then there was a little sort of knock on the panel, and the curtain was pulled back, and a young lady said, excuse me, sir, but these are your photographs outside, and they deliver them outside through a little slot, and they'd been there at least 5 minutes. So it just shows you how difficult it is for us old gimmers to come to terms with the modern scientific world. Anyway, out I go, you see. Take these 3 photographs out of the little slot in the front of this little buffet, or whatever you call it, and in goes the young lady. I made great care to show her so she didn't see the photographs. And then I looked at the photographs. Well, the first one was a superb picture of the top of my head, sunburn blisters and all. The second picture was a wonderful picture of the back of my head, which was pretty good. And the third picture was a picture of me from the nose up. And the fourth picture, I was sitting there looking at the camera as though I'd done something very childish in my trousers, which of course I hadn't. So I thought, well, I'm damned. I made a joke of Marjorie's attempts at getting photographs, and I've just done the same thing myself. Now there I was in a bit of a conundrum, because I didn't have another £1.20 in change. So I thought, well, I'll take a quiet turn round the town and cool me ardour and come back again and do it all again. So I did take a little walk round the town, found some shop where I managed to get some change, and I duly returned to the said picture taking department. Nobody there this time, and in I go, and much to my eternal surprise and great gratitude to the Almighty, the photographs came out quite reasonably. I thence went home, stuck them in the corner, and sent off me letter to get the visa for Australia. And that's that. Now I don't think it's going to be very funny, you see. I don't think it's very funny. I think that's very ordinary, really. It's the sort of thing that happens to me most days. But I hope you find it funny, because you found the others funny. So now we'll knock off, and I'll compile the data necessary for the next one, which I hope is much more interesting. Cheerio.